Hey guys, Renee from LOWKEY GEEK here. So, just like with any iteration of Japan Cuts, the one thing that I really love about the festival is that they always have a lot of great comedies. It was actually a comedy that got me going to Japan Cuts in the first place, and this year there's no exception to that. So, checked out a couple of comedies, and here are my thoughts on some of the great comedies to catch at this year's Japan Cuts. Oh, and guys, and before I continue, there may be some spoilers in my reviews, so if you're not interested in being spoiled for any of the movies that I go over today, then I would suggest you skip this video. But if that doesn't bother you, or if you've already watched these movies, then please continue to watch. As always, if you like what you see, hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps with the channel and, the YouTube bots and what have you. But without further ado, let's dive right in. So the first movie I have here on my list is a movie called My Sweet Grappa Remedies. And I guess you could categorize this movie as kind of a rom-com movie. And it wasn't a movie that was really on my list to check out. But after reading the synopsis, I was kind of curious, and to be honest with you, I'm really glad that I saw this movie. Overall, it's a very sweet and endearing movie as you follow the journey of the main character as she progresses through her life for a year and a half. And the whole movie is pretty much narrated by the main character as she's writing these diary entries, basically. The main character is Yoshiko, who's portrayed by Yasuko Matsuyuki, and she pretty much details her life for a year and a half from, being kind of sad and depressed and feeling kind of empty because, she has no love in her life. She's still single, she's in her 40s, and, she's coming to that realization that she's getting up there in age and she doesn't really have much around her to keep her happy. She talks about missing out on being a mom and not being able to have a family, or not being able to have a steady boyfriend or someone that she can really settle down with. She struggles with, going through everyday life without having any of those things. But then halfway through the movie, it turns into this journey of her rediscovering what really makes her happy and being able to really enjoy herself, and allow herself to open up to those around her. And I think what helps her do that is her coworker, Wakabayashi, who's portrayed by Hiroya Shimizu. And she does a really great job in being that energetic entity around Yoshiko and, kind of allowing Yoshiko to open up and kind of be, free and childlike herself. And eventually, as you progress through the movie, it is Wakabayashi that eventually introduces Yoshiko to Okamoto, who was, I guess, a college friend of hers, and eventually becomes Yoshiko's main love interest. And towards the end of the movie, you see, Yoshiko's struggling with, falling in love, and can she really do this, and if this is going to be right for her. But at the very end of the movie, you see that she kind of has this revelation that she is extremely happy, and she shares a very heartfelt moment with Wakabayashi and Okamoto, while she looks at herself and sees that this is what she wanted to be. This is the woman that she really wanted to be. This is where she wanted to be in her life. And she just finds fulfillment and happiness all throughout. So, I have to say that Yasuko Matsuyuki does a wonderful job in this movie. She really does have that childlike personality, and it's very endearing and very charming, and you could see her kind of lose herself as she does some of her little antics, whether it's swinging on the swing or skipping down the street because she hasn't done it in a very long time. But she also has that gravitas to her where you could see that she's deep in thought about things and where she is in her life, and why things aren't the way they should be and all that. All the cast in this movie is very well acted very well, and it's a good chemistry with everyone in this movie. And like I said, I'm very happy and pleased that I saw it, and I do highly recommend that you watch this if you have a chance. And now the next movie on my list is an animated movie called On-Gaku Our Sound. And it's an animated movie that won a lot of acclaim in a lot of film festivals. And the best way I can describe this movie is this feels like a Japanese Beavis and Butthead type of movie. And I can't take claim to that. A friend of mine actually called it that just by watching the trailer. But you know, you follow these three high school students who are pretty much, you know, just thugs, and you know, they're very well known as you know picking fights and taking on rival schools and all that. But then they, you know, one day they come to the realization that they want to form a band and play music. And you follow them through this journey, you know, being coached and egged on by some of their classmates. And you know, they pick a name that happens to be a name of another band within the school, and they confront each other, and they find out that they have deep appreciation of each other because of the music and the things that they're capable of. And at the very end of the movie, they play this rock festival where they just all culminate and combine and just create awesome music together that, you know, really leads the lead character to realize that this is the passion, and this is, you know, something that really revitalizes him and turns him into a different person. It's a very, very cute movie. There are moments where it feels very slow as you're following the main characters, but it's really the heart of the movie is really towards the end, where you know, everyone is performing at that rock concert and the events that lead up to that. So very, very cute movie. The animation is very, very well done, and again, it surprises me that all the animation was done hand drawn and all done by the director himself. So I would highly recommend this movie if you have a chance. Unfortunately, as of the taping of this video, all the online tickets for the showing of this movie has already been sold out. So if you have other means to catch it, or if it happens to pop up in another festival or somewhere online, please check it out. It's a very well done movie, and I think you'll really appreciate it. Now, if you're into more of the artsy, avant-garde, kind of dark humor comedies, Shell and Joint is probably a movie that you'll appreciate. I wasn't really exactly sure what I was going to get myself into when I decided to watch this movie, and basically it's a movie that is a series of vignettes that have an overarching subject matter, or at least similarities that they talk about and they cover. The director here in this movie, he has somewhat of a fascination with humans being compared to insects, or how they intertwined. And one of the main characters of the movie is a fanatic of insects, as he constantly reads a book about them. But it's interesting because the movie kind of splits in three different ways. You know, in the beginning of the movie, you could kind of tell that everything was about the beginning of life and birth, and you know, how the universe was kind of put together and how humans kind of started. And then in the middle, it's more about living and things that are carnal desires and things that get people off and all that. And then at the end, there's a lot of talk and revelations about death and the end of life, and then kind of starts itself all over again. Very, very unique way of filming, very unique way of storytelling. The director was known for doing a lot of short films in the past, so you could kind of tell that it feels like he filmed a lot of just short films and just like melded it all together into one giant movie. You know, you are kind of like an observer listening in on a lot of these absurd conversations, whether it's about, you know, sex, suicide, you know, food, and you know, just everyday like, you know, conversations that lead into like the absurdity and the nonsense and all that. But the main part of the movie kind of centers around this capsule hotel in Tokyo, I believe it's Tokyo, or at least well, we know it's in Japan. But if you're familiar with a capsule hotel, basically these are kind of pod-like sleeping arrangements that, as a traveler, you could sleep there for a night or for however long you need. But it's the two receptionists that kind of manage this capsule hotel that steal the movie for me. The conversations that they constantly have with each other, the dynamic that they have, the unusual chemistry that they share. It's very, very fascinating. Like I mentioned before, you have one guy who is a fanatic of insects and constantly reading books and contemplating life and comparing humans to insects. And then you have the female lead who has a very dark past. It's revealed that she has tried to commit suicide but survived, and she has a lot of nuances as well, when it comes to her way of thinking. And she likes to tease the male lead and kind of goat him into saying certain things or confessing certain things. There's a lot of talk about sexual tension and the desires that we all have as humans, and all that kind of stuff. So it's very, very interesting stuff. The movie itself was shot beautifully. The use of colors, the landscapes, even the editing is just well done. So it is a very interesting movie to watch. And like I said, if this is something that you feel like you are into or something that you're interested in, then you may want to check it out. It is a little bit long, though. I will say it clocks just a little under 3 hours, and unfortunately at times it does feel long and it feels like it's dragging. There are some key scenes that do make it worth your while. Like I said, any moment those two receptionists are on the screen is a blessing. There's a great moment where you have a dinner, or I should say a lunch, with a group of ladies that really proved itself to be hilarious. Certain scenes that take place in this science lab that also proves to be quite funny. There's even a use of puppets to help narrate portions of the movie as well. So you get a little bit of everything here. You have even moments of artistic dance that kind of portrays insects, or I don't know if it's a mating ritual, or I don't know how to describe it, to be quite honest with you, but you could see it in the trailer. So very, very unique movie, very interesting. It may not be for everybody, but it was a little bit my cup of tea. So I'm pretty happy I caught it. So if you are willing to give this a shot, I recommend it. So this year's Japan Cuts actually has two comedies that center around acting, specifically actors. So the first movie that I really wanted to talk about is, well, Special Actors. Special Actors is the second movie from director Shinichiro Ueda, and if his name sounds familiar, he's the director who directed the movie One Cut Above the Dead that was a runaway hit a couple years ago. Full disclosure, I have not seen that movie yet, but to be completely honest with you, after watching this movie, One Cut Above the Dead has moved drastically to the top of my list, because I can't wait to see his first movie, because this movie of his, for it being his second movie, is fantastic. It was really funny from start to finish, and the way that he kind of revealed a lot of the twists and turns in this movie, and especially the huge major twist at the end of the movie that bookended it very well. It was so well done and very unexpected, but also made you feel like, wow, this was a wonderful journey of these characters here. And this is one of the movies that I will try not to spoil at all, but what I will say is the main character Kazuto, who is portrayed by Kazuto Ozawa, was the epitome of skittishness and stress, and Kazuto Ozawa does a really great job in, you know, portraying that and really showing how nervous this you know, character is. All he wants to do is become an actor. He had a dream about it since he was a kid, and his love of movies, especially, you could see that he has this one movie that is like an inspiration to him. He still has it on the original VHS tape that he watches over and over again. But because of his, you know, nervousness and shyness, and anytime he faces stress, he unfortunately faints, and that actually causes a big hurdle for him, you know, when he's trying to be an actor. He comes across his brother who wants to help him out, and, you know, introduces him to this new agency called, you know, Special Actors. And this is not really a big spoiler here, because you could see this in the trailer, but the different thing about this agency is that they are actors who help people in everyday life situations. So for example, you needed someone to stand in line for you, or you needed someone to kind of make your boyfriend or girlfriend jealous. These actors will fill in those roles in order to accomplish what you want them to accomplish. So, you know, they find themselves encountering this grieving daughter who lost her parents, and who has an older sister that unfortunately, you know, joined one of those religious cults, and, you know, because of her fascination with the cult, wants to give away the family business, you know, to them. And, you know, that family business is basically an inn that the cult wants to turn into their main headquarters. And that's basically where the craziness and silliness ensues. So the huge cast of characters here were very well cast, and, you know, everyone has great chemistry with each other, especially the two brothers. You really can feel that they, you know, they have that bond and that love for one another. But again, big shout out has to go to Kazuto Osawa, because his portrayal of Kazuto was very well done, and you really feel his nervousness and, you know, him struggling in trying to be an actor and trying to, you know, do these tasks that he's tasked to do. And then at the end, you know, you really feel that sense of accomplishment when he's able to do what he needs to do at the end there. So I highly recommend this movie, big time. And like I said, because of this movie, I really can't wait to watch One Cut Above the Dead, because if it's as funny and as crazy as this, then this is definitely going to be a movie that's up my alley. So do check it out. Now, with all that being said, I would have to say my favorite comedy that I was able to watch this year was Extro. Extro is a movie that's kind of shot as a documentary, but you find out that it's more of a mockumentary in kind of like the vein of you know, Best in Show, or even like The Office. And it follows you know, a 60-year-old wannabe actor, Kozo Haginoya, and, you know, you see him struggling to want to be that actor by being cast as an extra in these kind of period dramas that's shot at Warp Station Edo. And you learn about, you know, the studio and how, you know, because it's such centered in like a small town, everyone in the town wants to be an extra, and he eventually becomes an extra in this movie. But it's so funny how, you know, you follow this one main character, and then it introduces you into this world of his, of being an extra, and the struggles of like extras and the agency that they go to, and, you know, the history of the agency. And the movie actually has a lot of famous actors and actresses in the movie who play themselves, and they talk about, you know, how it is to work with extras and the importance of extras, and you go along with the journey with them, and how it is to film and shoot with these extras. And there's so many funny moments in this movie, you know, and I'm trying not to spoil as much as I can here, but there's one particular series of events that center around an older movie that's more of like a kaiju movie, which kind of finds itself reincarnated again later in the movie. And I have to say, the the moments with the two police officers and how they have to do what they need to do in order to capture a drug dealer. Really hilarious stuff. So funny. And at the end of the movie, it turns into this endearing and heartfelt moment as, you know, Kozo, you know, finally gets to accomplish what he's always dreamed about. And you really feel the sense of accomplishment and, you know, that long journey of his, you know, finally coming to fruition. So, you know, for me, this is the runaway comedy of the festival, but it is hard to compare it to something like Special Actors, because these two movies are very high on my list of all the movies, and well, I should say all the comedies that I watched. But each movie has a specific special thing to offer if you're into comedies. So you're not going to go wrong with any of these movies that I just reviewed. But like I said, my favorite will be Extro for this year, with Special Actors being a very close second. So that's about it, guys. That's all the comedies that I was able to catch there. So if you happen to catch any of these movies, or you haven't yet, you do still have some time. I believe this video is going to be going live on a Wednesday, July 29th. The festival does run online until Thursday, tomorrow, the 30th. So you can get your tickets still at pancuts.japansociety.com, and you could see the lineup there and, you know, check out what you want to rent. So stay tuned to the channel, because I will be reviewing other movies. The next video I'll be doing will be more centered around the dramas, and the drama selection this year is huge, so it might have to be a two-parter, but we'll see. But thanks again for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. Again, hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll catch you next time. Oh hey guys, thanks again for watching. If you want to check out my other videos, make sure to access them through this menu that you see on this side of the screen. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, or hit that logo you see right here on this side of the screen. I've always wanted to do that. Catch you next time.